not to talk about her, guys, because it's a touchy subject for me still. You know what I mean? Like, we'll leave that one off the card. All right, it is the Guys MMA podcast. It is Pineapples Don't Go on Pizza. Hashtag from the Drive Across 65. You guys know Preston, always resting, never flexing. Travo looking like a serial killer zombie face tonight. Love it. Love it. So we have the 281 recap. We have UFC 65 coming up. We have some unfortunate UFC news. Trying not to have a funeral tonight, guys, but it's going to be a tough one. Before we get to the 281 recap, Frevola, guys, shout out to
Steamroller.
He came out with the guys who follow our podcast are undefeated in the next fight. So to any of you fighters out there, want a guaranteed W, hit the follow button on Twitter. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube. Probably couldn't hurt either.
Help us help you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Maybe come on the show and we'll talk about the fight afterwards. You can congratulate us because we're really the winners here.
We might as well
just come on the show and just talk about it, you know?
That's right.
Just come
on.
All
right. So let's dive into 281. What a great card. What an awesome card. We knew it was going to be, man. We're going to start with Petroski. Travis?
Well, like I told you all, that dude is tough as nails, and it was a back-and-forth fight. I'll give it to Wellington Turman. He definitely showed up to fight, but he just outdid him in all three rounds altogether. I would say it was pretty dominant performance on his part, but like I said, it was too back-and-forth to be like, oh, this guy won it all the way. But nonetheless, I was happy with the decision for Petroski. I think he showed a little bit more than Turman did. So, not upset about him.
Yeah, good on you, Travis, for calling that one. And I agree. Honestly, I had it 30-27 going towards Petroski. There was one of those rounds, it might have been the second round that you could have argued that Turman might have nabbed there at the end. But I had it 30-27 all the way around. It was a good showing from Petroski. Definitely a guy to keep an eye on going forward for sure.
Well, Turman was definitely connecting with some good shots. I mean, like I said, he showed up to fight. So, you know, hats off to him for at least not just standing there and taking punishment like some of the other people did. We won't mention any names.
Go ahead. No, we can talk about it. Go ahead. Mention it.
You want to bowl
I thought
spaghetti?
You wanted to skip it. I thought you wanted to skip it.
Go ahead.
You don't.
It's fine.
You don't want us to say anything about it.
Because you know what? Because we're going to talk about your all's wives next, and I hope that she can fight because my wife's coming after your all's wives.
Mine don't fight. She shoots. She doesn't fight. Though she can.
Molly took the L, guys. Molly took the L.
It looks like Aaron Blanchfield is quite the scouser.
Right. Like I said last week, Aaron Blanchfield had bragging rights of her own going into this fight. And, you know, Molly's heart was never questioned. She's always there to, you know, really put on a show for everybody that's watching. But, wow. What a dominant grappling performance by Aaron Blanchfield. Just every move was already pre-planned to the point to where she was just moving into the next step of it. I mean, you know, my heart breaks for Molly. Obviously, Josh's wife and whatnot. But nonetheless, I thought that was a pretty good fight.
Look, I'm going to say this about it. She could have tapped for 45 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. No, she held out.
Yeah, she held out as long as she could. And
that's what also, I said. Her heart was never on the line of questioning, ever.
I just want to say, honey, you can come home, okay? I'm not disappointed in you. I still love you. We can get through it. Just come home.
We gotta deck you in the face.
And then he woke up.
Spann, Preston.
So what I was. Well, hold on. Before we get to that, I do. No.
You give him his chance, sir.
Because we gotta talk about Aaron Blanchfield because I got a text right before the fight from one of my buddies saying, Do you know who Aaron Blanchfield is? And I think that might have been the story of this fight, and especially maybe on this podcast last week, maybe we were blinded a little bit by love rather than logic. Because if you look at the record here, Aaron Blanchfield, there. She's been there. She's done that. She's going to be soaring her way up that ladder. I mean, she's not going to be down here fighting on undercards for too long, because if she runs through people like she ran through Molly McCann last night, there's going to be a belt around her waist here very shortly.
She was like a female Hamzat. I mean, she just went straight to
that level of dominance. That level of dominance for sure.
Right. Broke my heart to see her sitting there with her arm wrenched behind her back for about half an hour.
I thought she was going to break it. I thought she was going to break it.
Dude, I mean, she has excellent submissions.
I just can't listen to it right now.
For anybody listening on Spotify right now, Josh is having there's like tears everywhere. Like the camera's steaming up from how much he's crying over here.
Yeah, I had to walk out of the room for a second.
He's a little moist at the moment. Yeah.
No, so I mean, obviously Molly was plus 300 too, man, and she did hang in. Blanchfield, 23 years old, man, what a monster, bro! Like she's gonna clear house in that division, man. That was a tough fight, man, and everybody said that the odds were off on Molly, man. They probably were, because and honestly, she probably could have been plus 500 the way the fight looked, man. Like it was gonna take some short of a miracle for her to win that fight. All right, I said it. Everybody happy now? I said it.
All right.
I said it.
Now we can move on to Ryan Spann. And yet again, I mean, this fight was full of awesome finishes. I mean, I think we only had 3 decisions the whole card. And one of those finishes came from Spann. I mean, that guy looked impressive in the very short amount of time that we got to see him in the octagon against Dominic Reyes. And I mean, absolutely bullied him, ran right through him. I mean, made for a magnificent finish. I mean, the buddy was flat on his back, out like a light. It was a good time to watch.
Oh, yeah. I believe I mentioned a little something about his physicality last week.
Yeah, you did. And he showed up ready to play ball.
Even though he was heavy on the scale, which I can't stand, you're going to pay that chunk of change because that's the right thing to do. But, like, how much was it? Half a pound, 2 pounds?
It was, well, I think he weighed in at 206.6, and 206 is the limit. So, like a half pound over.
Like, give me a break. That's not going to make or break this fight. They're both huge dudes. And, I mean, anybody swinging an arm, packing 206 pounds behind it, like, it's going to do damage. But Reyes' chin. Can we talk about that a minute?
Yeah, I was going to mention that I think the bigger story out of this fight is that 4 losses in a row, 4 finishes in a row.
I'm just going to say this. I think the first knockout from Yuri really messed with his fucking psyche.
Sorry, 3 finishes in a row. John Jones' decision.
Yeah, it was a decision. But nonetheless, man, like after he got that knockout from Yuri on his, jet ride to the top, I think it really messed with him, man, because he was fairly relevant in that division. I think he was moving through at the pace that, he was happy with, and he was making good progress. Then you get to a roadblock, Yuri Prochazka. After he hit him with that spinning back foot or elbow or whatever, it was like a spinning elbow, I'm pretty sure, that he knocked him out with. It's like he can't, it's almost like he's afraid to get hit. And as soon as it starts happening, like people with volume like start overwhelming him, it's almost like he crumbles anymore. So
yeah, you can't be gun shy. You can't be gun shy at 205. At 205, you got to be ready to hang in there tough, because you're playing with some big boys.
Right.
You're gonna have to bite down on that mouthpiece. And I mean, if you can't absorb what the other guy's throwing out, then there's no point. But
right.
That's not taken away from his previous fights or anything like that. He was a great fighter, but I think he's on a downward spiral, and it's only going to continue unless he can pull himself up from the ashes, so to speak, and like really buckle down and get to it.
I wonder how much different his career would be had they actually gave him that fight against John Jones if he would have still lost, 3 in a row? I mean, or do you think he carries that confidence over and wins 3 in a row and becomes one of the better champions at light heavyweight?
Man, I mean, that decision to Jones was so close. I honestly kind of had him out edging him in that fight because
there was
a lot
of people that had him beating Jones in that fight.
Yeah, Jones was taking a lot more damage than Reyes was. I mean, Reyes was getting clipped too, but like the damage he was putting out versus the damage he was absorbing, I think that was an unfair decision. But he had championship status, so I mean, that's just how it goes. If it's not definitive enough to the judges to be like, oh yeah, that dude took it to him and he won it, it's just automatic, like default to the champion. Like, it's just been that way for a long time.
The same can't be said for the Spann fight.
No, like,
he got knocked out.
I didn't know if he was going to try to submit him on the feet or if he was going to knock him out. But either way, like, every second was just like, oh, is he going to do it now? Oh. He was touching him, like, really good, just consistently. And like I said, you start overwhelming him. He just falls over like Jenga tower, I just don't think
Like
he can
a
withstand the
Jenga tower.
punishment.
Like a Jenga tower. Crumbles.
I like that.
Crumbles.
I like the Jenga. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Preston, Moicano by sub?
That's
Oh,
right.
Moicano.
Yet again, they call me Mystic Mac. I predict these things. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I'm picking one fight by by how it ends as well every week. And if you're not tracking me, you need to be, because it's 2 weeks at least back to back, maybe even 3. I'll have to check the footage. But anyways,
check the footage. I can't remember what I said last week. Let me go back.
I mean, I don't remember what I said this morning, Josh. So we obviously the pre-production discussion should definitely let you know that. Anyways, moving on to Moicano.
Yeah.
No, something else, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, moving on to Renato Moicano. I mean, yeah, it did exactly what I said he was going to do. Moved out there, realized that Brad was going to actually want to stand up and strike with him. Renato realized very quickly he had the ground advantage, grabbed onto him, took him down, did the thing, got out of there, made a quick night of it. And that's not uncommon of him. I mean, that's something that Renato's done a lot in his career. He's an upper level fighter who quite hasn't found his footing enough to be competing for titles or anything like that. But you best believe that he's always going to be bringing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. New York, let's fucking go.
Yeah,
the I watch the show every day. Love it. That dude had that fire submission. Just put it on him, dude. Like, the whole fight was just 0 to 1,000, and I loved it. That's the kind of fighting I like to watch. Go ahead.
I left this weekend too, having him as one of my biggest winners over the weekend, especially with the post-fight interview, him capping off the prelims. I mean, he's going to be a guy that a lot of people are going to be clamoring to see fight again, especially after the performance that he put on. I mean,
yeah, dude. And I mean, just the post-fight interview alone, I mean, that's Derek Lewis content. Like, people love post-fight interviews that are like just so, energetic and just like explosive. It was like
he was happy to be there.
Just got an adrenaline bump of meth in his nose or something. Like, he just went off. As soon as Joe Rogan put the mic in his face, he just you see his eyes like shift and everything.
And what a genius plug too, man! It was a genius plug by him to get to talk to Rogan and buddy up with him, man. Because I mean, you're talking about millions and millions of people gonna know your name off that clip, and if you get the invite to the show, which Rogan has definitely been known to do, man.
Oh yeah, dude! Like, he loves to talk to fighters on the show. Not
he had Joaquin Buckley on this week. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Joaquin Buckley's fighting soon. He's fighting after this card.
Yeah, I've seen him on a card upcoming, but I don't remember exactly who he's fighting.
Let's
can't
not
wait.
promote other podcasts on this one, guys, because the tens and tens of people who watch us might not know who Joe Rogan is.
Jamie?
Jamie. I've
Can we
never
get
seen
some
Jamie's
stats?
face. I can't
Joe
remember.
who?
I'm not sure if I've ever seen Jamie's face.
Ho Rogan?
Does Jamie even exist? That's the conspiracy. Is Jamie a real
He
person?
does. He does. He did a clip to him, and he thanked him on his birthday. And he's not anything like you would think. He's kind of a mousy little dude,
that's exactly why
just
I
like on the show.
So,
well,
Jamie
I guess you'd be right if that's what you thought.
He's this huge African guy coming around the corner with this big beard, bald head.
Yeah, that would be funny.
That's definitely Jamie for sure.
He's just like some big bodybuilder guy.
All right, guys, we got
We're off the rails here.
Yeah, we got the laughs out. Travis, Preston suggested we do 5 minutes on Edgarman, and I definitely support it. So, Travis, lead us off. Start the violins for Edgar.
Man, it really sucks to watch a legend go out that way, but at the same time, it doesn't. For me, it was kind of personal watching him go out on his shield. Don't laugh at my hair, guys.
Oh, I'm not laughing at anybody's
on
hair.
his shield, he did, and he got knocked out viciously. But let's not talk about that right now. It's still too fresh. Hurts too bad. So what we're going to talk about is all this guy's previous accolades and just the pure, I think it was 8 hours of fight time. You think about that. You break down each championship fight or 3-rounder, 8 hours of fight time in the octagon.
That's crazy. Crazy.
That's really crazy. 29 wins, 10 losses. To say he earned his stripes and became a general in the UFC is an understatement. The dude did so much for the lightweight division, put on so many great fights. The trilogy fight with BJ Penn, Ben Henderson, just to name a few. We're talking all-out war. As soon as the cage door shuts and he says go, you already know what's coming. An unrelenting pace that does not quit and does not stand still long enough for you to touch it. Now, keep in mind, it's almost like he's a Tasmanian devil whenever they turn him loose, because he balls up them fists. He looks like Little Mac off of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and he does that work, man. He's one of my favorite fighters, and like I said, it sucked to see him go out that way, but I'm happy to see that he went out the way he wanted to go out, which is possibly getting knocked out, possibly getting the W. But either way, Frankie Edgar is a true hero in this sport to me. And I think Hall of Famer status is just, like I said, another understatement. You can't say enough about the guy.
Well said, Travis. Well said. Wow. So
Thank you, sir.
how do I follow that up?
I mean, he said there's nothing you can say about the guy. Person's there's really actually nothing else I can say. You just said
I didn't mean to steal all the thunder.
It was supposed to be 5 minutes, and Travis knocked it out in 2. But what you got, Preston? I know you want to say.
So I mean,
that was my eulogy.
Frankie Edgar. I mean, the guy's fought at least 2 different weight classes that I know of. Fought for the belt at both bantamweight and featherweight. I'm pretty sure he won the lightweight belt. Yeah. So what? He's been at 3 different weight classes now, competing for titles. I mean, the guy is a beast. I mean, going all the way back, I reminisced on the Gray Maynard fights, the wars that he had with Gray Maynard.
That was a great fight.
I mean, years ago, Benson Henderson, Jose Aldo. I mean, when you look at the list of the guys that this guy's fought, they're the who's who at divisions all across the UFC. I mean, just one of the most well-rounded fighters of our generation. A guy that is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Right off the bat, I mean, he could be in there for multiple fights. I mean, he could have the fights that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, What a guy! What a guy! I mean, and a guy that didn't even get finished all the way up until really the end of his career.
No.
And the good news is, guys, is that this isn't the last we've seen of Frankie. He's going to be around coaching. He's going to still be in the game. He's going to have a bunch of young guys under his wing. I'm glad he's getting out now and not trying to hang on for too long. I mean, 3 knockouts back to back to back. Good time to end it. Good time to leave the gloves in the octagon. It's never the best way to end it, but it's definitely the right decision at this point.
Yeah, you've built every man's dream of a legacy as far as that's concerned. 9 performance bonuses of the night. Like, yeah, it's time. Enjoy the rest of your life, man.
We know Ash over there at ATF is definitely going to be upset.
Oh yeah, heartbroken.
He's heartbroken, yeah, for sure. Hey, not to take away, that was beautifully said, also, Preston. But check your audio, bro, because you was kind of cutting in and out a little bit there, man. Just give you a heads up. You was going. I don't know if it was when your head was bobbing and weaving and you was like really getting into it, all your body motion and stuff. But you was cutting in and out. Just maybe just stay on this side of the room whenever you give your next speech. I don't know what it was. It really was your audio though. Something's going on with your audio.
Just better now.
Try it again.
Is it better now?
No. No. But I mean, you're hearable, so we'll just tolerate you.
I think producer hit the mute button on you.
I did not.
He's just over there remixing you right now.
Unfortunately, we're gonna stay with Preston because we gotta talk about the Dustin Poirier fight that you almost called. You almost called it. I mean, I think I even texted you and said we should have bet it how you said it, and you was like, no, we would have lost. You had him by KO. He won by sub.
Yeah. So I definitely had Dustin winning this fight. And really, even though he won by submission, he still did almost exactly kind of what I thought he was going to do. He struggled a lot in that second round. Definitely got dominated on the ground by Michael Chandler in that second round. But I think that gave him the energy he needed to recoup and really come out there, and take that victory in the third round because he was realizing that he needed it. In a 3-round fight, if it's 1-1 going into that third round, you're gonna have to get that finish. To really, you don't want to give that to the judges to possibly give to Chandler at that point. And he looked really good. And I want to say I told you so, but technically I didn't say it. Yeah, technically I didn't, tell you so.
Yeah, fair enough. I already knew. That's why I couldn't even call it. Like, I didn't even have a prediction for that fight because I just knew it was going to be a wild one. And a wild one it was. Just watching them both fight, there was a couple of moments. Let's talk about it. Michael Chandler over the top of Dustin Poirier in top control.
Oh, in blood control. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he didn't lift his finger and put it to his nose, what the fuck? Like, I get it. It's a fight. It's grimy, dirty, nasty. You're going to get bodily fluids on you don't want, but that seemed kind of cheap.
See where said he bit his finger? Because apparently Chandler fish hooked him at some point. He said he bit the shit out of his finger.
Oh, dude, you didn't see that? He, full on fish hooked him, in his mouth. All the way in or around it. In it. Nonetheless.
And blew a snot.
I just thought, yeah, I mean, you're resorting to dirty tactics, bro. But post-COVID, me is just like, ugh.
He said post-COVID.
I mean, did you see, after it impacted on his face, it was like he just,
Dude, it fucking exploded and went everywhere.
Travis is a germaphobe.
Like horror movies, I'm with it, man. But when you're talking about a pool of blood just splatting me in the face like a bad water balloon.
Well, it's a good thing he wasn't fighting Magic Johnson.
All right, so let's talk about the Weili fight.
Ouch.
Let's go to the other half of our parlay. We had not Edgar. We had Weili going. Travis lead us off.
She whooped that bitch, didn't she?
can't
I
believe
told
you
you she
fucking
was going
just
to do it.
you just
You can't
mentioned
believe what.
you just mentioned Magic Johnson. Like how does this podcast
Hey.
get to Magic Johnson, bro? Like how does it
That's
get
what-
there? Like how does that like where is the 7 degrees of separation that gets to Magic Johnson in this podcast? Travis, tell us about Weili. Jesus Christ.
Talk about your delayed reaction.
Man, it's just I'm
He had to
just
ponder it.
I'm gonna have to mute half of this podcast on YouTube. We're not even gonna talk about anything. All you're gonna hear is like Molly and Weili, and it's gonna be the end of the podcast.
Toast. So I already said it. I told you, like, she whooped the shit out of Carla Esparza, and I couldn't be happier about it. But can we talk about how she subbed her instead of knocked her out? That was almost kind of like a fuck you to me. Like, I feel like that was a fuck you from Weili to Carla Esparza for me. Like, thank you so much, Weili Zhang.
She
For
said, "This is for
giving her
Travo
that
Zombie
fuck you.
face."
That's right. She said it. I saw it. Can't tell me different.
He
But what a
said-
great fight. She-
you can't tell me different.
Yeah, no, you're not telling me any different. It's just what I heard. And,
Well,
you know, she delivered on it. So that's my girl.
Well, me and Ash kind of talked, or sorry, me and the guys over at ATF kind of discussed this at on Saturday after the fights, where we were talking about what's next for Weili. They seemed to mention maybe Valentina Shevchenko, and I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I mean, really, at 115, who are you going to have her fight again? I mean, maybe Rose. I mean, there's no Joanna anymore, so we're not going to see that fight happen again.
She's a Victoria's Secret model now. Does she even fight anymore?
Hey, don't you talk about Joanna like that.
Oh,
No, I'm talking about
whoa,
You leave
I'm talking about-
you leave Joanna and Jacek out of it.
Ooh.
Hey,
You leave
Kevin,
Joanna
I
and
wasn't even
Jacek out
talking
of
about
this.
Joanna. I'm talking about Rose Namajunas.
Oh,
She's like some cover girl for Victoria's Secret now.
is she?
Oh, she is. That's the rumor.
She could look
Anyway.
at you. You leave her out of this as well. You leave
Travis has
Rose.
seen
You
it.
leave
He's like,
Joanna
yeah,
out of this.
I ain't hating on Thug Rose. I'm just saying, like, does she even fight anymore? Like, last time she fought Zhang, I mean, dude, do we want to go there?
No, we don't have to go there. But I mean, I still think it's an interesting fight. I mean, I didn't think that Rose would beat Joanna either, and she beat the shit out of Joanna. So, I mean, I could still see that being an interesting fight. But I would rather see Valentina versus Weili Zhang, especially now that both of them have been kind of experimenting with grappling and they both look really good with it. I think it'd be a really good fight to have.
Have you ever seen Polish Jenga?
Is that the theme tonight?
Polish Jenga? It should
Just
be.
Jenga and
Watch
Jenga.
Weili Zhang and Joanna fight. That's Polish Jenga. The whole pile, brother.
Oh,
She fell out like a sack of taters on the face, man. That was a great fight.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like, go ahead.
I was gonna say shout out to the parlay, man. She was the second leg of it. We got it minus 130. We posted it Saturday morning, and it was a winner. And we all look smart. You guys look smart. We did leave a couple fights that you all agreed off of the card. Hand up.
Side
That's
note.
on me. Sure. Sidebar.
Side note. What if we saw Weili Zhang versus Jessica Andrade?
Someone else said Amanda Lemos too. So I mean, there's a couple different fights at 115 for there, but the Valentina fight just sounds better. I mean, Valentina versus Weili.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a good super fight, but maybe it is a good change of pace for each of them because I mean they're both dominant and at the top of the division.
I think it solves the answer
Preston,
for Valentina too.
You gotta kill the Bluetooth, bro. Like you're cutting in and out so much, man. Like we're only catching half your sentences, bro. Let's pop over to Travis while Preston gets it figured out. Running shoes.
Running shoes. Man, I got full running suit on. You can't see it, but I'm wearing spandex and everything. Did I call it? I did. History repeats itself. Alex Pereira, well, the first round was a little shaky. I'll give Adesanya that. Izzy really put it on him towards the end of the first round. But after that initial hiccup, it was just back and forth action like Ken and Ryu fight. Just like I said last week. This fight was so good, and we genuinely saw Izzy fighting to win, not to not lose. And that's what I love the most. Like, the whole fight was just nonstop action. It wasn't any kind of like laying on each other. And I mean, we even saw Izzy Adesanya do his first takedown. That's saying a lot.
Attempt. It was an attempt. Was it a
No, he took
takedown?
No, he got the
they called
takedown.
it a takedown.
Okay.
Yeah, he ended up with the
you're-
takedown.
You're back now, Preston, by the way, man. You sound good now, Bubba. I remember you're right, though. It was an attempt, and then they did say it was his first official takedown. It was a struggle, but yeah. Go off. Sorry, go ahead.
So when you got Izzy trying to come up with an entirely different game plan that we don't ever see him use on anyone, that's the Izzy I want to see. I want to see him come up with that and be that style bender. You know what I mean? And he embraced this fight. So, hats off to not running from it, not ducking him, because he could have easily just been like, no, you got to get some more fights like Preston thought he should have had. Honestly, I think he earned his spot because he ran through Strickland like he was nothing. I didn't say anything last week, but I had to touch on that just a little bit. I think he was a solid title contender. Did he get it a little quick? Maybe. Story sells.
He is a certified badass. And Travis, shout out to your victory lap, man. You caught it. You was on the right side. And I believe Preston just caught a solid. I was going to call it a stray, but I don't think that's a stray. I think that was just a solid,
he walked
shot.
He walked right up to me and said, "Hey, here's what you said. You were wrong."
Hey, man, it happens to the best of us. Trust me, I was wrong 2 weeks ago, so
yeah,
I totally get it.
He's got receipts. 2 weeks ago, I was wrong one time. Preston,
and I checked those receipts twice. Yeah,
well, if it makes you feel any better, Travis, the most casual fan friends of mine have been texting me saying, "I told you." When 2 weeks ago, nobody even knew who Alex Pereira was. They didn't even know Israel Adesanya was fighting until I mentioned this card and said that I'm picking Izzy. So apparently the entire universe, except for me, was on Pereira. That's all right, because for 4 rounds, I called it. So I had my time to shine. I had my brief.
But they weren't. Pereira was the underdog in that fight.
No, what he's saying is, and he's right, and I do want to ask both of you about this equally.
What's that?
So you got to believe that Izzy was ahead 3-1 going into the 5th.
Absolutely.
Some people had him 4-0. Some people had him 4-0. I didn't. I had him 3-1.
So
look, I had him 3-1, and that's just me being honest. 3-1 Izzy Adesanya. Like, yep.
Why? It's gonna sound shady, and it's gonna mess with the integrity of the fight. Maybe it. I mean, if you compare it to American football, man, you're talking about taking a knee, let the butt. You know what I mean? Or if you're on basketball, dribbling the ball out, not running a play. You know what I mean? It's all that's it's all relevant. So why are we even taking contact in the 5th round? Let me ask Travis first.
What do you mean taking contact?
Why? Okay, let me ask Preston because I want to reword it anyway. Why did he fight the 5th round?
So this is where I will give props to Pereira. I don't think he gave Israel Adesanya the choice. And as a fighter, you never want to let the fights go to the judges, just because we've seen some bananas stuff happen over the years. So I mean, to be honest, he didn't have the choice. Like, I really don't believe he had the choice. I think Pereira came out there. His coaches told him in the corner before that 5th round started, like, you've got 5 minutes to become world champion. And after that, you're not getting it. And, with as early as he got that fight, if Izzy beats him, it could be either a long time or never again that he gets a title fight, because he did get that so early. And if Izzy beats him 4 rounds to 1, that would only prove everything that the doubters were saying. So, fuck all the haters, but shout out to Alex Pereira for getting the W in, a tough fight that he was losing. So, I mean, come back, kid. I mean, he was almost out in the end of that 1st round. I mean, Buddy hit the Buddy hit the lean it like Bernie. You know what I'm saying? After he got that
So
punch that was a little close to the bell.
He got saved.
Here's
by the
my
bell.
take on that. Alex Pereira, like, I think he was nervous about being in a 5-round fight. Not that he wasn't in, like, 10, 12-round fights in Glory, however many rounds they have. But those were short rounds. We're talking 3-minute rounds versus 5. So, honestly, I think he was just really conserving that gas tank, knowing that he was going to, if it got that far, if he didn't clip him with a slick one, that 5th round, that's it. It's time to dump this gas tank. And that's what he did. He came to life in the 5th round. I think he, like you said, he realized his down, and his coaches are telling him, hey, man, it's time to empty it or go, And that's exactly what he did. And I think he really took it to him in the 5th round. 1st round, like I said, kudos to Adesanya, because if it would have went 3 seconds longer, that's a finish.
People are already calling him the most beatable champ in the UFC, though. So it's not just me. Not just me. I'm not a hater. I just call it like I see it. And if he fights anybody that can actually wrestle, he is going to be in trouble.
Well, let's talk about that. Hamzat, immediately after, he's the new Conor McGregor. This is going to happen after any big name fight. Mark my word. This motherfucker is going to call him out and be like, I fight this dude. I fight this dude. He smashed everybody.
But if he was going to be like Conor McGregor, he would have to lose to those people, though.
Brother, it is no problem.
Beating everybody.
But yeah, I think that I obviously think that goes Chimaev's way, unless he stands and tries to trade like he did with Gilbert Burns. If he stands and tries to trade with Gilbert like he did with Gilbert Burns, I think Pereira might have the tools to knock him the fuck out, because he's just as tall as Hamzat is. They're both like gargantuan in that division.
He's got to be way bigger than Hamzat. That was my debate. Is Pereira going to be able to consistently make 185?
Yeah, he's not going to.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Is it even fair for him to? I mean, just because you can cut the weight, should you? I mean, it's not. I mean,
right.
If he could cut down to 155 and still live, are we going to let him fight at 155? I mean,
he'll still be fighting the fight at 210. You know what I mean? Like, whenever it gets around to it, it doesn't matter.
This is why I think the hydration test.
I think the comment that Adesanya made about him before he even got to UFC is what drove him and got him to where he was. As far as the comment, he's going to be sitting around with all of his buddies drinking one day and be like, I beat that guy. And it's like, yeah, dude, he beat you again too.
Damn. Hey.
All right. So let's walk it back here, because Izzy had an extremely optimistic response to the fight, post-fight, the day after.
Yeah.
Even all the way up to the day, man, he was like, what a life. You know what I mean? He was saying all that. That was all. And maybe he did know, like, maybe he does that have in his back pocket now if there is some type of rematch in the future, which we all hope that there is, man, because they're fantastic fighters. Maybe he does know that he had it 31 going into the last round, and he just had to stay away. And maybe
he knew that he had him at the end of the first.
Look.
Yeah. Once he landed that combination at the end of the round, his confidence went whoop.
His smile got wiped off of his face this afternoon, though.
Oh, yeah. With the brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, according to reports, looks like Israel Adesanya was arrested at JFK International Airport today in New York for having brass knuckles in his luggage. Yeah. And it's funny.
Christ.
It's funny because he didn't get arrested because it's illegal to have brass knuckles like at the airport. He got arrested because brass knuckles are illegal to possess in the state of New York, which, political leanings aside, is, a little ridiculous. But
interesting law, man.
I mean, first off, were they legit brass knuckles? Second
I would imagine they were.
Were they like novelty, or like, oh, I'm gonna get these and pose with them for Instagram, whatever.
They
Maybe
said it
both.
was a gift. They said it was a gift. So I mean, well, it's Israel Adesanya. If Buddy wants to get into a street fight, he doesn't need fucking brass knuckles
right,
to
right,
Right.
right,
As long as you're, yeah,
right.
He probably
Like-
should have put those in his gloves when he was fighting
but
Buddy this
don't-
weekend.
as much as this guy flies, from continent to continent, don't you think you'd be a little more familiar with what you can carry in your luggage?
Bro, not
Bringing a weapon is not a good idea.
I see exactly what you're saying, bro. But the diversity in the laws in this country by quarter miles are so crazy, bro. Like
Nobody
I got
nobody
defended
had-
by that one, man.
Nobody asked Brittany Griner that question.
All right, so we are moving on to a sadder stuff. Y'all keep trying to tease me with these politics, bro. We're not going to do it. I'm not getting canceled over.
It's not politics. You got it. It's just funny. That was just a joke. It was a bit. Leave my bit alone. My
Fuck
bit
We
was
know,
Brittany
funny.
we know
Griner.
you don't like women. I thought it was exclusive to UFC fighters, but it's women across the board. We get it. All right. Rumble died. Travis.
Wow, what a segue.
Man, get the
I mean-
knife and pull it out of my heart. Jesus Christ, dude. We're losing Frankie Edgar. I mean, come on.
He didn't
This
die.
is some really sad news.
Yeah, I'm not even like-
He didn't die. He just retired.
I know.
We
I'm just
legit
saying,
lost,
like,
we legit lost Rumble.
it just feels like the losses keep coming, man. Anthony Johnson, dude, like, I remember watching him whenever I was younger and being like, man, that guy's scary. But he had a huge problem making the weight all the time. But nonetheless, man, like, legend to the end. And how crazy is it that he died so young? Apparently there was some sort of illness, but I don't know if it's been revealed yet or if I just hadn't seen it yet, or I don't know what the
Yeah.
illness is.
Yeah, they said it was due to an illness. They said he's been sick for a little bit, but I mean, sad, man. He's only 38 years old. I know he's got a family and stuff like that. So our thoughts and prayers are going to be with all those guys and everybody in the community that, was around Johnson. I mean, because like you said, he's been around a while. The dude's fought at what, 170, 185, light heavyweight and heavyweight. So, I mean, 4 different weight classes. So there's a lot of people that shared the ring with him. A lot of people that had emotional connections to Anthony, and he's been in Bellator, UFC, so he's made a lot of impressions on a lot of people. So thoughts and prayers out with everybody in the MMA community that's been affected by the death of Anthony Johnson, and our prayers definitely go up to his family, man. We're hoping that you guys can find peace and solace in that.
For sure. Rest easy, brother.
T's and P's. Let's get out of the sad. I think that was the last bit of sad news, sad talk we're gonna have on the podcast.
Potential news.
Yeah, let's talk about some fights, man. Let's talk about some fight
You want
announcements.
to talk
and then let's
about
get into 65.
big announcement for Al-Jalane?
Yes.
Apparently, it is rumored and confirmed that the UFC sent Henry Cejudo a contract to fight Aljamain Sterling. Bring it on. I can't wait to see this.
Breaking news. Oh, that'd be a huge
Right.
fight. I think Cejudo got him.
Yeah. I think Cejudo is just too dominant of a wrestler for. I don't know. I think it'd be a good fight.
Yeah, I've got Henry Cejudo in that fight if they do end up booking that, and I think so. I heard Cejudo's been in the pool, so I think he's eligible to come back at any point in time that he wants. Which smart on him, man. Another guy that retired.
Right? No, dude. It's funny. One of my friends from Galveston, Texas, he was a fighter, amateur fighter, and he actually fought Henry Cejudo, and he landed a pretty cool kick on his face, but unfortunately, that was the only real shot. Like he just wrestled him to fucking death.
That's right.
Well, he's an Olympic gold medalist. Anybody that's fighting somebody that's Olympic gold, respect to even getting into the ring with that, because you're going to lose.
Right. Shout out.
Nonetheless, he planted a nice kick. Shout out to Ryan Hollis. If you ever see this, man, I remember you and watching your fights over at Money Mike's. Respect. Hope you're doing all right, brother.
Mike, Friday.
That's right. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Those are my boys. But regardless, yeah, I think this is a good fight, but I think it's an interesting fight because obviously Aljamain is like way taller than Henry Cejudo, so reach advantage comes obviously into play. If he can stay on the outside of his wrestling and takedowns, because he is a smart wrestler as well, I think he's got the recipe to stop Henry Cejudo finally, and finally shut him up for good. Like, dude runs his mouth way too fucking much.
Damn. A little hate in your heart there.
He wears me out. Like, whenever he interrupted O'Malley during
He
his
wears
post-fight
me out.
interview. Yeah.
I like it.
Never been the biggest Cejudo fan, but I do respect his wrestling. Like I said, guy's a fucking beast on the mat. But he's also a beast at the taco bar, too.
What you got on the other fight announcement, my guy?
So we officially got Volkanovski versus Makhachev scheduled for UFC.
Ooh, say it again.
Makhachev.
Yeah.
I seen Ariel Helwani talking about that. They were having a big debate on the Schultz podcast, Flagrant podcast, about how to pronounce it. And apparently it's Makhachev. But anyways, we knew that fight was coming. When Islam won, he called him out. They had to stare down in the ring. Dana had no choice but to book that fight as soon as possible. And I think they were planning that from the very beginning. But that's an exciting fight. Nonetheless, I mean, champion versus champion, Volkanovski moving up. I mean, obviously we talked about it a little bit at the end of 280, when they did the stare off. Man, that's going to be an interesting one because every time I've doubted Volkanovski, he just, he proves me wrong. So I'm going to stay silent on predictions for that fight. It's a little early right now. First off, we got to get to February. We got to get to the weigh-ins. We got to get through a lot of things first before predictions can be made. But an interesting fight nonetheless, and especially, I mean, what if Volkanovski wins? I mean, what does that do for the lightweight division?
That changes things drastically, doesn't it?
Yes.
So, UFC 65, not a huge card, but I feel like that's good because it's a good change of gears. We're going from like fifth gear to second gear, then we get a week off, and it's kind of just like the cool down. You know what I mean? We do have Derek, my balls are hot, Lewis on the card. We'll talk about him.
H-Town love, baby.
Rip City. Danny Roberts is fighting. Preston, tell us about that fight. I'm not going to pronounce the name of his opponent. We're going to call him JDM,
Jack.
and he's a huge favorite. So I hope he doesn't win.
JDM, did you start something with that, dude? I think that could catch. I like it. JDM.
It's actually copyrighted, so he can't use it unless he comes on the podcast. Go.
Oh, okay, absolutely. JDM versus Danny Roberts. Had to do a little bit of research for a lot of these fights on the card. Some of these guys are guys that I haven't watched fight a whole lot, and this is particularly one of those. JDM's on a hot streak, though. He's won 12 in a row. He's 12-2, so he lost his first two professional fights, and then after that, he's just been off to the races, which is kind of exactly how I see this fight going. Seems like Danny Roberts is always finding himself in decision fights. So for me, that keys me in on telling me that he's a little bit of a slow starter, that he's not necessarily coming out that hot. But Maddalena's got heavy hands. So if Danny comes out slow and doesn't really get the fire going on that, we could see it get finished early. And as a matter of fact, we're going to start early with predictions as far as, I'm going week by week here. What?
Let's see if your hot streak holds up.
He's getting his pen right. We got Jack, Della, Maddalena. Sorry, I had to enunciate that.
JDM.
By knockout in the first round. If you want hot money this weekend, you want something that's probably got some ridiculous odds on it, you can take him by KO in the first round. I'll check you back here next week to talk about it.
We probably won't be on next week because we'll have an off week, but we'll definitely be able to
I'll check you.
up.
Well, you'll see me on TikTok, Twitch. There will be a video made Saturday night post that fight, if I call that correctly.
Shout
If you
out.
don't follow me, if you don't at least get him by KO, then it's your own fault.
Travo Zombie Face.
I think, Preston pretty much knows that one. JDM is really going on a tear coming through the division, and I think he's really starting to establish himself in said division. And I look for him to walk through this guy.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's minus 550. I hope I don't have to say his name again because that's difficult. But shout out if he wins. What about the? Not going to pronounce either one of these names. Next, Travis, Andre.
Fialho.
That's
Fialho.
what I said. Versus Salikhov.
Muslim Salikhov.
That's what I said.
I like this fight. Both of these guys are coming off losses, so I would say each one of them's got a little bit of a fire to get back in those winning ways, and I like Andre Fialho in this one by knockout.
Whoa!
Travis is like, I'm coming up against you. I'm coming for your record.
Nah, I'm not. No, this is all in fun. Not against your record or anything like that, but we're talking about heavy hands coming from Andre Fialho, and if he connects with anything, granted, this dude, Muslim, Salikhov, sorry if I murdered that. I probably did. I'm not Russian.
Preston, go for it. Hang on, Preston, say it.
Salikhov.
Go.
Yeah, what he said.
What he said. That's why I said what he said.
Right. I think he's going to try to hug him the whole fight, and I don't think Fialho's going to go for it, and I think he has great takedown defense, but, granted, he keeps this fight standing. I see him just running through this guy.
Preston?
Well, listen.
He doesn't agree.
Oh, well, listen. Hang on. Let me flip the page again. I just heard, well, listen. I'm listening.
Well, listen. I'm actually not making a prediction in this fight, but I will say I think that your assertion that if this fight remains on the feet, that Fialho storms through Salikhov is just not correct. 18 wins, 12 of them by knockout. So don't let the Russian name fool you. A lot of the times these days, you hear a Russian sounding name and we're assuming sambo, wrestler, ground and pound type, which he is a little bit of. I mean, Salikhov has that ground and pound Khabib style game there.
Right.
But he's no slouch on the feet either. Now, Fialho also does have 13 of 16 by knockout. So,
yep.
On this fight, if you're looking for some money, I would say probably take the under. It's looking like either way it goes, unless Salikhov does come out and try to play more of a sambo style game where he wants to just wrestle, ground and pound him.
Salikhov's actually a slight favor in this fight, not by much, but sliver.
It's
like real close.
It could be without being even. Yeah. Welterweight fight, man. It's interesting. Staying with Preston, can we please hear the story about how Chase Sherman? I've never heard the story before. How Chase Sherman stole your tweet.
He said, "I've never heard the story before." So, Chase Sherman, this one's for you. If you're watching this, better pay attention.
Ooh.
Better check it out.
Manila Gorilla.
Look me in the eyes while he's talking to you.
That's right. I'm cutting a promo right here, Chase. I'm coming for you, dude. You stole my tweet. Back when he was fighting. Back when he was fighting at UFC Atlantic City. I called you out a couple weeks ago, and you ended up not fighting. So we're calling you out again here. I want retribution. I want Waldo Cortes-Acosta to go out there and get that back for me. But if he proves me wrong and you beat him, Chase, I'll have you on the podcast here so that you can apologize to me in person.
We'll let you come on. We'll let you come on for the stolen valor because you stole Preston's tweet about a gorilla running crazy through a city from the movie about The Rock that bombed. Go ahead, Preston.
Wow, it sounded a lot less funny when you described it like that. Like,
he stole your tweet, bro. He stole my power, man.
That's because it was.
My promo was way more entertaining. Sherman, come and face me like a man. You weigh almost 100 pounds more than me, and you're scared of me. You're hiding from me. You've been ducking me since 2017.
Come say it
Don't
to my
duck me
face.
anymore. Yes.
Come say it to my Facebook. Hey, Preston, who you like in this fight, man? Sherman, Cortez.
Man, I do like Cortes-Acosta. He looked good. I mean, this guy, but he did just fight 3 weeks ago versus James Vandera, and he was struggling
2 cards
a little
ago,
bit.
yeah.
And he was struggling a little bit with Vandera was hitting him with a lot of leg kicks, and it seemed like that was slowing him down a lot. So it was a full 3-round fight. So, he fought all the way to the distance just a couple weeks ago. So are we going to see him, that tiring go on? Because the argument could be that, Sherman and him both have not had enough time to prepare for each other. So likely, I think we're probably going to see a stand and bang match. And Sherman does seem to be I'm going to knock you out or I'm going to get knocked out fighter. And so Cortez chooses to stand and bang with him. I think it's going to be, heavyweight, it's going to be whoever lands that, the big right hand first or who gets there first. So this one's kind of up in the air for me. I want to see Cortes-Acosta win, obviously, but Sherman won, that'd be all right too.
Go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I think honestly, Chase Sherman's kind of in the slow lane compared to Acosta, as far as pace is concerned. I don't know that he has the speed to keep up with him. I think he kind of pushes that pace on Chase Sherman and wears him out quick because we're talking some big dudes. But like we saw in the Bandera fight, he ate some nasty leg kicks and still kept coming forward. So his tenacity is unquestioned to me as far as that's concerned. I think it's going to be a good battle, and I think it's going to be on the feet. Unless he gets clipped with one of Sherman's shots, I think he keeps it standing, and they just trade it out until one of them goes night-night.
Neither one.
Now, which one goes night-night?
No, I'm not picking in that fight. I'm leaning Cortes-Acosta, but mostly for the emotional retribution rather than like skill level.
I got you. No side on this fight, Trav.
Not particularly. I would, like Preston says, I would lean towards Acosta as far as getting the W. I think it'll be
To be honest, I want to get past this fight and hear you pronounce the next fighters' names. That's what I'm most excited for.
It's not even
next
hard.
fight.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
We're talking about Ion Cutelaba.
Labra?
Cutelaba.
Abracadabra?
Yeah. Or we could say it like Josh says it, Cutelaba, Cutelabzi, blah, blah.
Let's let the host introduce it. I'm trying to hear Josh pronounce it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Still
take this one, Josh. Take it away, Josh.
Travis, we have a light heavyweight bout between Kennedy and his opponent. Who you got?
What's Mr. What? How do you say that last name, Josh?
Nzechukwu.
Nzechukwu.
That's what I said.
That's what she said.
Kennedy.
No, this is going to be a good fight. We got another barn burner, I think, as far as on the feet goes. Ion Cutelaba never disappoints as far as aggressiveness. Always comes out hot, throwing wild. Whereas Kennedy, Nzechukwu, is more of a sniper, I feel. He kind of waits for his shots. He's a counter fighter. What were you going to say, Preston?
No, you're good. I thought it was a little bit of a pause there. I thought maybe you might be done. So if you're not done, you can go ahead and finish.
Oh, yeah, no. I was just saying, Nzechukwu, hey, keep it cordial like golf.
Oh, you
That's right.
No, you go first. No, you go first.
All love, Trav.
You go
all
first. But let's make the producer pronounce the last names and make fun of him. Go ahead.
Nzechukwu is kind of a sniper. I think he's a counter fighter, and he's going to wait for his moment. I think he has the chin to weather the storm of Ion Cutelaba. Not saying that he can't hit him and put his lights out, but the boy's got a thick chin, and he can take some hard shots. So I think this is going to be either a knockout or ultimately a gas out.
So I've got Kennedy. Ian's only won one out of his last 5 UFC fights. I think he's just on the downturn. I don't think that he quite has what it takes to play with the big dogs at the top of that division.
I'm with you.
I think Kennedy's on his way up. I think he might even. I think this might be it for Cutelaba. I think Cutelaba needs a win here to save his spot on the roster. If he doesn't win, that could be it. I mean, you only win one out of your last 6 fights. That's a bit of a losing streak in the UFC. A lot of fighters don't make it to quite that many losses in a row before they're getting the axe. Especially guys that. I mean, he put together a few wins and kind of made his way up a little bit. Like he was a guy for a little while, but anytime he fought anybody that was a name, he was losing. So he's been kind of the gatekeeper, not even really necessarily in the top 15, but that upper echelon of guys that are working their way up to be ranked fighters in that division.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards Kennedy in this fight. Like I said, I think he's the smarter fighter. I think he waits for his moment to crack him with one of those thunderous rights. Left hooks. Dude's got like tree trunks for legs. I mean, list goes on for days of the tools that he possesses to end the fight. So I'm definitely leaning Kennedy on this one.
We got the main here, guys. I love this guy coming up in the main, bro. He's so quotable. Let's wrap up with the Derek Lewis fight, snap, tap, or nap, and get out of here, guys. We've been on for an hour yet already.
That's right. USA in this hole. Derek Lewis. That's who I've got. It's going to be a banger. They're both going to go in there swinging, banging. There's going to be a lot of thunder going around. And I hope Spivac doesn't try to go for a takedown. I want to see him stand. I want to see him fight. This is why you pay your $5 a month for your ESPN Plus, because you get to see Derek Lewis go in there and do what Derek Lewis does. And I mean, I'm staying with the home on this one. I'm going USA. Derek will be watching on Saturday. Hopefully you put him on his back.
Yeah. We're Ronda Rousey, fine as it. That's my dude, man. Derek Lewis, like, he's a hometown hero for me. Like,
Rip
Houston's
City.
finest. That's right. And everybody knows his downfall. His gas tank. His gas tank in his back. He had back issues for a long time, but we're not talking about injuries. Talking about the only concern I have for Derek Lewis in this fight is his gas tank. If he doesn't empty it all in the first round or the second round, which will be a miracle if it goes past the first, how heavy this guy's hands are, all it takes is one solid one. You've seen it multiple times. Dude is like on his way to reaching the knockout record in the heavyweight division. So to say that I'm riding with Derek Lewis on this one, that just goes without saying. Hometown hero, Derek Lewis, final answer. Win, lose, or draw. Win, lose, or draw, still my dude.
It's plus 160 too, guys. He's definitely going to be the public favorite, man.
He's an underdog, man.
Cheering for him.
But he's the dog.
I hear you. So I know this card is not great, guys. But we have to keep up the snap, tap, or nap segment. I'm not holding you guys to any fireworks, but we have to do the segment, man. It's tradition after 3 episodes or so. Yeah, 3 episodes. We have to,
Got to keep tradition up.
Got to snap, tap, or nap. Whoever's ready or whoever wants to just fire one, we can go back and forth. Again, I know, man. We can all agree on snap, tap, or naps, man. I want to do the segment though for sure.
Snap. I'll go ahead and say Cutelaba and Nzechukwu.
Okay.
I believe that, like I said, Cutelaba is going to come out headstrong, throwing wild. So I think this is going to be a wild fight. And we're waiting to see Kennedy throw one of those perfect counter shots that he throws and put his lights out and just end it. Not hating on Cutelaba, but like Preston said, he's on a downward spiral, and if he doesn't shit or get off the pot soon, he's going to be out. So I think he's going to come out aggressive and go for the knockout.
But he's hanging out there on lunch break, dude.
What's that?
So Buddy's hanging out there on lunch break.
Yeah. Pretty much. So that's my snap.
Do we have a snap? Preston snap? What we got?
I got Chase Sherman and Waldo Cortes-Acosta. I believe that's going to be a good one. I mean, honestly, you could do that one interchangeably with Spivac, Derek Lewis. I mean, both of those fights going to be bang fest. Both heavyweight fights, both likely to end in knockouts. Both of those are fights to check out on this card.
Hell yeah. Trap, who you got for your tap? Who's going to tap tonight?
I'm going to tap for tonight.
It's a tough card.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's a tough card.
I don't know who to call on the submission, to be honest with you.
What you got, Preston? Who?
Fialho.
We going Fialho?
You think Fialho? I mean, maybe.
I think that fight is the most submission prone just due to Salikhov's wrestling advantage. I'm leaning Muslim to win that fight, so I'm picking a fight where somebody's probably going to get tapped out. Could be Fialho.
Yeah, it could be.
What about Nap? Let's all just agree that Spivac's I'm trying to say his name. I butchered it. You guys
Spivac.
Spivac is going to take the nap against Lewis, right? Let's all agree. Go USA.
Yep. USA in this hole.
And Danny Roberts by KO in the first round.
All right, guys. That was an exhausting hour of recapping 281, but very worth it, man. We had to give our shout out and our farewells to Edgar. We had to talk about Rumble passing. You know what I mean? Like there's some situations we had to get out, man. It's gonna be a long episode. Again, the card coming up, not the best. We are excited for Derek Lewis. And we did give you guys some picks to look ahead. I know Preston's excited about a lot of knockouts. And Travis is excited to see a lot of fights stand on their feet. So we'll see what happens, man.
Stop hugging everybody.
No fights following up the weekend. If you guys know the context of our podcast, you know that that's primarily what we center around. However, we have talked to a couple other shows and maybe doing some collaborations to get some content out. We have a couple ideas in mind. Maybe next week we will let you guys know on YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple, make sure you guys are checking our YouTube, our Instagram, our Twitter account, our TikTok for those announcements and for the fight selections come game day. Like I said, man, we had Lamos by knockout Saturday morning. That's when it got announced, man. So everybody check us out. We appreciate everybody listening. You guys got anything else?
If you guys have anything that you guys want to hear in the off weeks, because we also do have some weeks coming up in December, leave a comment. So like and subscribe first. Follow us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, the whole 9 yards, just like Josh said. Let us know if there's something you guys want to hear about or some content that you'd like for us to put out. Always, just leave a comment.
For sure, definitely reach out. We're more than happy to respond to whatever you got. You want to just spitball on what you think next week's fights or previous week's fights, whatever. Talk to us. We don't mind talking back.
Right on. We appreciate everybody listening. Molly, I know you're listening right now. I just want